Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's Cara. This channel is Bianca Reads. Today we are filming my August Bookopoly deal TBR. Alright, so I have my hair out today because it's still like just drying the ends. It's been a while since I filmed a video. I feel like you're really far away from me. Let's see if I can scoot a bit closer. Is that a bit better? It's been a while. I have taken a little mini hiatus where I'm only doing like monthly videos. So this my wrap up on my haul really until I submit my thesis at the end of next month. So it is like a little light on videos, but I still am reading because I'm prioritizing reading over making videos. So here we are, and here is my August TBR and my plans for reading in August. I am participating in one readathon. When I planned this TBR, I thought I was participating in 2 readathons. Turns out Pages Not Safe for Workathon is in September, but keep your eye out for that. I think the announcement video is live. I'll try to remember to link it somewhere if you're interested in it. This is the Not Safe for Workathon, which is about like this round is kink themed, and it's book prompts based on kink, and it's a bingo board this time around. So feel free to go check it out. That is happening in September, which I will be participating in, but it's not in August, so I can't participate in it this month. But I am participating in the Among Us readathon hosted by Hal, and I'll link their Twitter down below. Oh, that lighting is awful. But I will be telling you what prompts things feel for that. But let's first start off with Bookopoly Deal. So if you haven't seen Bookopoly Deal before, the aim of Bookopoly Deal, it's a TBR game based on the game book Monopoly Deal, which is a fast-paced card version of Monopoly. We are playing to the first house set to appear on the board. If you want a like recap of the rules, you can go back to January. I've been doing it all year and you'll be able to see how the rules play out. But there's essentially prompts for every property, changes to the prompts based on rent, some adding cards, there's all kinds of things that happen. But let's go through how this went. Here's our first card draw. Let's just jump straight in. So our first pull was Whitehall, which is an adult low fantasy, and for that I'm picking Blackwater Sister by Zen Cho. This is a Malaysian fantasy about a teenager who is she deals with spirits, and she's a lesbian, I believe. I am very excited to read this. I've been very hype about it. It looks amazing. I've read a lot from Zen Cho before and really loved it, so I can't wait to pick this up and see what I think of it. This cover is stunning. I'm so hype. It's queer, it's fantasy, but it is also low fantasy. It's set in the real world. Yeah, so that's my pick for this option. Then we picked up Marlborough Street, which is a YA sci-fi, but we also had the rent applied to it. Hopefully these cards pop up in order. I'll try and get the order right when I edit them in, because I don't know exactly when the rents came up. But this required something that was a YA sci-fi over 400 pages. So for this I decided to pick up Gear Breakers by Zoe Makuda. This is a Japanese sci-fi, I think she's Japanese. It's inspired anyway. It is a sci-fi It is a YA queer sci-fi with animatronics, mecha, war, battle stuff. It has already released, but my copy hasn't shipped to me yet. It's on its way, but I will have it by the time we get into the month. So I'm going to be reading that for this, and it looks so good. It is just over 400 pages according to Booktopia, which is where I got my number from. Then we've got a Wildcard dark blue or green. Green is middle grade, dark blue is other, which is a Kindle vet or a vet or a Kindle pick. And for that I'm picking a veteran, which I have out on audiobook, so I'm going to be listening to the audiobook for this. I have it out from my library, and that is Moon Over Soho by Ben Aranovich. This is the second book in the PC Grant series, I think that's what it's called. Rivers of London was the first book. I enjoyed it. It has some tropey stuff that like isn't perfect, but it's a like detective fantasy. On the vein, I think, of like Jim Butcher, like Dresden Files. This is like another Dresden Files style, if that's something you like. I believe each book has its own mystery, self-contained. I don't know much about the actual plot of this one, but I enjoyed book 1. I own 1 through 5, and I'm trying to make my way through them, so I'm going to listen to the audiobook for this one. Fenchurch Street Station, which is a 2020 new release. My TBR's kind of separated into like years I got them. That has a beautiful cover. So for that I'm going to be picking The Midnight Bargain by C.L. Polk. Look at this cover. This also is doubling in for the buzzword reading challenge because the theme for the month of August is a time of day, midnight bargain. Talking of the buzzword reading challenge, I know Kayla from Books and Lala read this recently and enjoyed it, which is high praise from Kayla. And Kayla and I have like akin reading tastes. They're not like perfectly aligned because her reading tastes are very picky. Her tastes are really picky and specific, and mine are a little bit more general. But I think I will really like this. This is published by Erewhon Press, which is an indie publisher. And I've heard good things about C.L. Polk in general, so I'm really excited to read this. It's a fae fantasy romance, but like if it's a romance and Kayla liked it in a fantasy setting, it has to be something a little different. So I am very excited to get round to this. It's a lovely color underneath. Oh, it's a beautiful cover. I'm very excited about it. Next up we drew Vine Street, which is a YA high fantasy. For that I picked a book that we've been talking about in my book club with KJ and Casey, and that's the Polyamorous Plot Hole. And we're not reading this as a specific pick, but it's being a kind of like impromptu secondary buddy read because I know Casey and I want to read it and KJ's already read it. So Casey and I are going to be reading this. This is In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland. It's a YA fantasy with a polyamorous romance. KJ didn't love it. I know Erin from She Was in Shelves also didn't love it. But I'm curious. I'm really interested to see how it goes, and we'll probably be talking about it at our next live show, but it's not the official read for the month. I'll get to that later. I love this cover though. I think it's the Illumicrate edition. It's absolutely stunning, though I never go out of my way to buy Illumicrate edition. Then we had a pick that was the overall wild card, which means I could pick anything I wanted. And so I decided to pick something kind of short. that I've been really eyeing off, and that is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Neve Vo. This is a retelling of The Great Gatsby, but Jordan is a Korean Vietnamese a woman, maybe also a lesbian. Yeah, she's also queer. I have not read The Great Gatsby. Someone please tell me if I should do a speed read of The Great Gatsby before I read this, or whether it's not really necessary. I might read it after I read this. We'll see, but this is a retelling. And it is probably more different than that retelling that's like The Great Gatsby, but Nick has lactose intolerance or something. That was a meme. I loved that. This is pretty short. It's only 260 pages. I think I could get to it pretty quickly, and I'm really intrigued by it. I've just never been intrigued by Great Gatsby in general, but I'm intrigued by this take on it now that Great Gatsby is out of copyright. So I'll be reading this. It's blurbed by people I love, including R.F. Kuang, Hannah Abigail Clark, Pijale Clark. It's got some good recommendations, so I am really excited to read this, and it was just really high up my priority list. That was why I picked this for the all-round wildcard. Liverpool Street Station, which is a 2020 queer release, and I've been eyeing this off recently and really wanting to get around to it, so I decided to pick it, and that is Seven Devils by Elizabeth May and Laura Lamb. This is a queer sci-fi YA new adult kind of, no, I think it's adult, but the main character is young, so it might be in that new adult category. I think one or two of the characters are teenagers, but it is in the adult category. This is sci-fi, it's queer, it's a space opera. I don't know that much else about it. Obviously it's inspired by like Seven Devils makes me think of the Florence and the Machine song, but I don't know that much about the actual plot of this. If you don't know me, I like to go into things relatively blind, so I never normally know too much about the plot or anything before I go into it anyway. This one especially so, but it is sci-fi. It's a space opera. I'm excited to read it. I've been eyeing it off a lot lately. I think book 2 comes out relatively soon, so gotta get to it. Then we have a wildcard Light Blue Black, which is a 2019 release or a 2020 release. And for that, I decided to go with the 2019 release because we hadn't pulled from that part of my shelf yet. And so I pulled something out of my jar and I picked Grave Maidens by Kelly Kuhn. This is a YA fantasy with death magic, healers. Oh, when someone dies, when the ruler falls deathly ill, the main character's little sister is chosen as one of 3 sacred maidens to join him in the afterlife. I know this has a sequel. I'm not sure what I'll think of this. I've heard mixed reviews, and it's consistently been like one of the lowest rated on my TBR on Goodreads, but I'm really interested to try it and see what I think of it, because I feel like not enough people actually read it. So I'm not sure what I'll think of this. I'm curious. I do love this cover though. Just, it's stunning. And that wrapped up our picks for Bookopoly Deal. You can see we've got a full set. I'm looking at my list now and I can't figure out what met the set. But there was definitely a combo there. We do have 3 blacks and the total wildcard, which would mean 4 blacks, which we get. And there's also another one that was there. It's the other light blue. I think light blue also finished. You'll be seeing the cards. I won't be, but you'll see them here, so you'll know what I'm talking about. So let's jump into... Oh, first I should tell you what the polyamory plot hole book of the month is. It has been announced over on Twitter, but this month we'll be reading Honor Among Thieves by Rachel Kane and Anne Aguirre. This is another sci-fi, so I'm kind of sci-fi heavy this month, which I don't mind. This is a features a polyamorous relationship. It's not a romance per se, I don't believe, but it might be. It has with an AI. I don't know that much about it otherwise. It's a sci-fi, it's kind of chunky. I'm going to be listening to this on audiobook. Now let's quickly talk about my Among Us readathon plans, which include these books. I'll tell you what they're standing in for, and then add some other things that are going to be part of that on top. So I'm playing as an imposter because I like to go extra and I want to have the max number of prompts. So that's Imposter Hood, which means my first prompt is to fake a task, which is either enter ID or fix wiring, and that's a standalone or a sequel. So I'll be reading Moon Over Soho for that. Then we have a vent, which is a random prompt, and when I did a random selection for a prompt, I came up with the favorite flower prompt. My favorite flower on that pick was a poppy, which is a fantasy. So I'm going to be reading The Shadows of Self by Brandon Sanderson. This is April and my Brandon Sanderson calls me a buddy read for the month, so I had to read it anyway. And this is the second book in the second era of Mistborn, which I believe there's going to be 4, but there's currently 3 out. So this is book 2 of that, and we're going to be finishing it off next month, or the last one that's out. This is about Wax and Wayne, and it's a flintlock fantasy but set on the same world as the original Mistborn, and some of the characters from the original Mistborn kind of appear as part of their legend and lore and their religions, and it's really interesting. I really enjoyed book 1 in this sub-series, The Alloy of Law, and I'm really excited to continue on with The Shadows of Self, so I hope April and I love it. So that's my pick for venting. Then I have to Blame Someone Else, which is a book with more than one point of view, and for that I decided to finish up my audiobook listen of this series and read Stars Above, which is the collection of short stories in the Lunar Chronicles. Seeing as the series itself follows multiple perspectives, I'm sure this collection of short stories will. It's all like third person close, so it will jump around between different characters, so I'm counting this. This is the short story collection that came after the publication of Winter. There's a lot in here. It's not like super short, but I'm gonna listen to the audiobook of this as well. We'll see how I like it. I didn't love Winter, and especially considering this is just like bonus stories, I'm not sure how much I'm gonna love this, but we gotta wrap it up, and then I'll probably read the graphic novels at some point that go with this as well. And I might try and fit them in August, maybe. We'll see. Then we go on to kill each of the colors. So we have Kill Pink, which is to fix wiring, which is a standalone. And I'm gonna read Blackwater Sister for that. This is a standalone. Then we have Kill Purple, which is, so basically to kill each one, you pick one of the prompts they would have to do. So I've just picked one from each. So to Kill Purple, I'm priming the shields, which is a transport on the cover, which I was like, what the fuck would I have something with a transportation on the cover? And then I remembered Seven Devils, which has a spaceship right there, right in the middle, right on the cover. So I'll be reading that for that prompt. Then to Kill Lime, I'm charting my course, which was using the zodiac, and I'm a Leo as my sun sign. I don't know my moon and rising properly because my mum cannot confirm my time of birth for me. I don't know, so I don't know my moon and rising, but my sun is a Leo, so we're going with that, which is a pretty cover. Obviously we talked about this being a pretty cover earlier. Midnight Bargain's going in that spot. It's stunning, though I have a lot of books that could go there, but that one's going there for this. Then we have To Kill Red, we need to divert power, which is by an author of color. So I'm going to be reading The Chosen and the Beautiful for that. Niveau is Vietnamese. Then we have Killing Green is to water plants, so something with an illustrated cover. going with Grave Maidens for that. You can see I did try and double up a lot of this to make sure this whole TBR was covered. And I was planning for the other readathon as well, which had way more prompts, so I was trying to make sure everything was totally covered. This is an illustrated little thing. It is. Like, it looks kind of photographic, but it looks like it's done digitally, so I'm rolling with it. Then we have To Kill White is to start the reactor, and for that it's a friend pick. I'm picking the book club pick for this, Honor Among Thieves, because I didn't pick it. KJ and Casey did. I put options in and they voted on it. So a friend picked this one for me, so that's Honor Among Thieves by Rachel Kane and Anne Aguirre. Then To Kill Black is To Run Diagnostics, which is fave author. I actually ended up picking Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson for that. I've been meaning to read this for a while. The third final book in the series just came out. I literally bought it today because it was at the bookstore today, so I have to read this next month, otherwise my rules are all broken. This is the second book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. I loved that book to pieces. So this book is filling this favorite author prompt. I don't have like one favorite author. I feel like that's a messy way to go. Like, I don't want to live that life. But Holly Jackson is really, really good. So I'm counting that to be able to read this. To Kill Brown, I'm submitting a scan, which is something that has representation that represents you. So obviously for that, I'm going to be reading In the Ravenous Dark, polyamorous, romance. You get the gist. You get the gist. Then we have Kill Orange, which is divert power, so something with queer representation. I'm going to be reading Meet Cute Diary for that, by Emery Lee. I've been trying to get this on a TBR and actually get it read for months now, I feel like. This is a romance with a trans boy main character. I've heard mixed things, but I'm still hoping I'll love it. And I love this cover. It's so cute. I think also the main character might have ADHD. Unclear. Then To Kill Yellow, we need to assemble artifacts, a book with mythology. And then this was a book that I randomly selected from one of my backlist sections because I needed to cover it off. And that's Under the Pendulum Sun by Jeanette Ng. This is fae-based fantasy. I'm going to be listening to this on audiobook as well. And I've read other stuff from... no, I haven't read from this author before, but I've read from some of the people who've blurbed this and really, really enjoyed that stuff. So it is Victorian fantasy, I believe, like a very strong gothic fantasy with fae elements, and I'm taking fae for mythology. You feel, but I'm listening to this on audiobook. Then we have Kill Cyan, which is clear asteroids and the rock on the cover, and I'm taking Gear Breakers by Zoe Hana-Makuta for this. You can kind of see mountainy elements in the background. I'm counting it, don't judge me. And then finally we have Kill Navy, which is another chart course Zodiac beautiful cover scenario, and I'm going with A Lesson in Vengeance for this one by Victoria Lee. This looks stunning. It's a dark academia fantasy. I don't really know much about the plot of this. I don't want to know. I'm going to be getting it for my birthday, and it should be arriving very soon. It's like very early in the month. It is like comes out right at the start of the month, so I'm very excited about it. I do also have a stack of other books here I am hoping to get to. We have Killjoy by Holly Jackson, which is the like 2.5 in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. It's teeny tiny. It was a National Book Month or National Book Day, World Book Day little bonus that I picked up because I desperately wanted to read it. It's really short. I'm going to be reading this. I also, as I said, picked up the third book this today. And this is going to be like my last read for the month if I get through everything else. Otherwise I'll try and prioritize it soon. But I do also have As Good as Dead, which is book 3. I don't normally marathon things, so I won't be like reading them back to back. But if I get through everything else, I'm going to try and read this. So this is another mystery thriller in that series. It's the finale, I believe. And I'm very excited about it, but it's the lowest priority here because I will have just read book 2. But if I can get to it, that would be great. A book I've been meaning to get on my TBR, The Ghosts We Keep by Mason Diva, which is their newest release. I assume this features a non-binary character and it's about grief. I think, yes, the main character's older brother dies in a hit and run. And it's all about grief and friendship and things like that. I loved I Wish You All the Best by Mason Diva, so I'm really excited to see what their sophomore novel is like. I also drew from the jar. I didn't film jar pulls, but I pulled from the jar to get for my other backlist section. And from that one, drew out The Vanishing Throne by Elizabeth May, which is book 2 in the Falconer series. I read The Falconer earlier this year or late last year and really enjoyed it. It's a Scottish fae story. She's a falconer, which means she hunts fae. And this is book 2. I'm really excited to read it, and I hope I really like it and continue on and get book 3 and finish up the series. Obviously Elizabeth May is the same author as Seven Devils. So we're reading twice from her this month, but I really enjoy her writing, so hopefully I will like this. Then we have another book that I've yet to haul, but I'm really excited to read. That is Darling by Kay Ancrum. I read The Weight of Our Stars this past month, the month before. Really enjoyed it. In the lead up to this is a different take though, I believe. Like, it's a different style than her previous work. But this it's a retelling of Peter Pan, but set in the real world. It's pretty short again, and I really want to read it as soon as possible and not let it squander on my TBR. So I'm adding it to this list in the hope I will get to it. Then today I also picked up another book I have yet to hold that I'm desperate to read as soon as possible, and that is She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. This is a trans, queer, Chinese inspired historical fantasy. Yes. And I think this will be the book club pick for Pages Book Club, which is the book club of Library of the Unread. I think it is. I'm blanking. I think it's Library of the Unread. I'm very excited to get to this as soon as I possibly can. I think also KJ is going to be reading this, maybe, and April's going to be reading this, so we're going to kind of, even if it doesn't go ahead as the book club pick, we'll definitely be buddy reading it. And I'm very excited about this. Again, I don't know that much about the actual plot. I don't want to know. I haven't properly read the back. But I am obsessed with the idea of it, and I can't wait to read it. A book that's also a carryover from my July TBR that I would also love to get to is The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Her next book that's getting rejacketed and re-released comes out in August. I might pick it up in September if I manage to get to this, but this is right down low on my priorities, so it might not happen again because it's right at the end of the month and things never go according to plan. I'll be submitting my thesis, but we're going to try and get to The Beautiful Ones. This is a magical, I assume it's a Latinx fantasy, telekinesis, magic, historical. I'm excited about it. It's stunning. I also have a bunch of other random stuff that's like, I want to get to. It'll be, so like my goal is to read 20 physical pages from this, what we've talked about, each day. If I read 200 pages each day, they'll all get read. Oh, I forgot to say, also in that is a psalm for the Wild Bill, which my copy still hasn't shipped yet. So I'm going to be reading this in August as well. That's in that 200 pages, and that's accounted for within that. Within all of those 200 pages. The only one that isn't coming in that 200 page goal, like if I average out the physical pages that I'll have to read, the only one not counted in that is As Good as Dead, which is why it's like a bonus if I'm ahead. But everything else, the physical reading comes to an average of 200 pages a day. When I have time, if I finish that in a day, I also hope to read some other stuff, which are library books. There are certain types of things I like to get from the library instead of buying a physical copy myself. The first one of those is anthologies. So I have 2 anthologies I'd love to get to. These also available on Scribd, so I think I will listen along. The first one is That Way Madness Lies, which is a Shakespeare reimagined collection edited by Dahlia Adler. I really enjoyed His Hideous Heart, so I'm interested to give this a try. And I do enjoy Shakespeare. A lot of the authors appearing in this are authors I've read from before and enjoyed, so I'm really excited to get to this. The other one is Blackout, edited by Is it Danielle Clayton and Tiffany D. Jackson that were the editing team on this? I think so, but it features Danielle Clayton, Tiffany D. Jackson, Nick Stone, Ashley Woodfolk, Angie Thomas, and Nicola Yoon, who are all black authors in America. And this is all about a New York City heat wave. And it's like a linked anthology, so it's 6 stories, but they all tie together, all featuring black joy in New York. So I'm really excited about that one too. So both of these are in that like when I get spare time list. We also have 2 poetry collections, both are by Nikita Gill. I just forgot that I was reading Nikita Gill's poetry and that I hadn't read these ones. And I think my friend Lauren was tweeting about one of her collections. I think it was this one. And I was like, oh my god, I need to read those. So I got them out from the library. So we'll try and get to them if we can. First of those is Wild Embers, which is poems of rebellion, fire, and beauty. It's pretty short. We're gonna do this one first. We'll see how we go. The second one is The Girl and the Goddess, also by Nikita Gill. It's a bit chunkier. It's a mix of little bits of prose as well as poetry, akin to her Great Goddesses collection, I assume, which was about Greek mythology. We'll see how this one ties in. I think it's a little bit wider. I just read Great Goddesses in July, so I'll be talking about it in my wrap up. But yeah, so there's this collection as well. It is poetry, so it should go relatively fast, so I'll try and get to the 2 of those to get them back to my library. I also have a bunch of graphic novels I'm hoping to get to. There's some other ones I have out that I think I'll read in August. The ones I'm going to prioritize in September. The ones I'm going to prioritize for August is the rest of Giant Days that I haven't read, which is volumes 8 through the last one, which is 14. So I'm going to try and finish up Giant Days. We'll see, they're quick, so I'm hoping that just like throughout the month I can like on a random day pick some of them up. And the other one that I'll try and also get to during the month of August is the entire Descender collection. So 6 volumes in that. So this is a sci-fi about a little boy who's a cyborg, but cyborg's like outlawed or something. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks cute. The Giant Days is a like contemporary coming of age college kind of story. And I've really enjoyed what I've read of it so far, so I'm excited to wrap it up. It is a long series. Other ones I have out are Lumberjanes, Deadly Class, and Skyward, but I'm going to leave them to September, I think. So we'll get there, but we'll see. Maybe I'll dive into them too if I manage to get on a roll and read a lot. So yeah, I feel like I've been talking for ages. I feel like my throat is dry. Those are all the things I'm hoping to get to in August. I have other stuff I would love to read if I get through it all, but that's where we're currently standing, where our current goals are, and that's what I'm going to be reading. So I hope you liked this video. I hope it all made sense, and in editing it all makes sense. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with another video. Bye.